All right, we're back. So today we're going to talk about heredity and how we actually can trace what alleles parents can give and what the options their children could be. So we're going to be talking a little bit of math, probability. So remember, heredity is the passing on of traits from parent to offspring. For this information, you do need some background, and hopefully you remember it. An allele is a form of a gene. It's one member of the pair. Remember, you get one from mommy and one from daddy. So you have two alleles for every trait. So you have two alleles. One was from mom, one was from dad, for your hair color, for your eye color, for how tall you are, whether you're going to have hairy knuckles or a unibrow. Again, they can be dominant or recessive. So when we look at what a dominant trait is, or a dominant allele, we show it by a capital letter. And so we did this in class. We looked at our earlobes. Okay, if they hang free, you have the dominant trait. So you could either have two dominant alleles to show this trait, or you could have a capital, a dominant, and a lowercase. Either way, the dominant will show through. If you have a lowercase, that is called a recessive allele. And these alleles are passed on from parent to offspring, same thing, but it's considered like the weaker of the two. It is the one that you would need another recessive gene from mommy and daddy. Both need to give you a recessive gene for the recessive trait to show up. If you have a dominant trait there, it won't show up. It'll be hidden. So that's why we call it the weaker of the two. It's not necessarily weak. Now, homozygous, pure, would be having two of the same. So we would have big B, or little b. Okay, so if you're homozygous, you are pure. You have two capital letters or two lowercase letters. And those letters we call alleles. Hybrid is having two different, so in this case, big B, big E, little e, so a capital and a lowercase. You would be hybrid or heterozygous. A genotype are the type of genes you have for a certain trait. So here we have all of the gene types, where a phenotype is what they look like. Okay, so it's physical characteristics, what it looks like. Now, Reginald Punnett, back in the 1800s, figured out a mathematical way to determine the probability of inheriting certain traits. So we're going to make what are called Punnett Squares. So you're usually given a word problem. And so in this case, we have a pure blue-eyed father and a pure brown-eyed mother. And they want to see what the possibilities are for mommy or for their children. What will their kids be? So when we look, we have a pure, remember I said they were pure, brown eye and pure blue eye. Now brown is dominant to blue, and I will always tell you what is dominant. So this shape here is a Punnett square. Okay, and so we drop our letters in for mommy and daddy. Doesn't matter if mommy goes on this side or daddy comes over here, but they're on the outside of this window box. Okay, and now we work this like we work a multiplication table. The brown bees go into each of these boxes, the blue bees come down. So let me show you. Brown bee goes over, little bee goes in. Brown bee goes over, little bee drops down. Big B comes over, little b goes down. Big B comes over, little b comes down. And what we see here are the four possibilities that the kids could be, what they possibly could be. Okay, that doesn't mean what they, well, in this case it is what they will be, because we have 100% heterozygous or hybrid, and all kids will show brown eyes. So let me give you a different example. If we have a pure blue-eyed father and a hybrid brown-eyed mom. Now remember, we're going to use B's, and big B is dominant, okay? So we have a hybrid mom, so mom's letters come here. We have a pure blue-eyed dad, and we work the same thing. Now we want to see if these two parents have children, what will the possibilities be for their kids? So we move the big B in, the little b drops down. The little b, this little b, comes over into this square, that b comes over. Big B goes across, little b comes down, little b goes across, and little b comes down. And so now what we see is we have a 50-50 chance of having a brown-eyed kid or a blue-eyed kid. So we have 50% heterozygous, 50% homozygous, 50% could be brown-eyed, 50% could be blue-eyed. So they have a 50-50 chance of having kids with brown eyes or having a 50-50 chance of having kids with blue eyes. That doesn't mean if they have 4 kids, 2 will be brown eyes, 2 will be blue eyes. It's a mix. Last example, both parents are heterozygous. Both parents are hybrid. So again, we set up our Punnett square with putting the parents' alleles on top and on the side. Again, it doesn't matter whose alleles go where. So mom is here, dad is here. Okay? And now we drop them in the chart. And what we notice is we have 75% chance of having brown eyes, 25% of chance of having blue eyes. So there you have a 75% chance of having a brown-eyed kid, only a 25% chance of having blue eyes. But again, it's probability. So they could have 4 kids and they could all have blue eyes. It's just a chance. Okay? All right, I hope that makes more sense to you. Listen to it again if you're confused. That's it for Punnett Squares.